So hello, I would like to welcome you in my new video. This video is going to be about sleeping issues and how to cure your sleeping issues naturally and really fast. If you do what I'm gonna be saying in this video, then you're gonna sleep just immediately tonight or now if you wanna sleep now. And first I would like to tell you my channel is about self-help and issues and problems which you might run into in your life, and if you're interested in self-help and psychology, you can subscribe to my channel. I post once a week. And so now straight into the issues with sleeping. So I think that a lot of people, they actually have issues with sleeping and they don't even think about it in this way, because when you have issues with sleeping, it's not only that like people who don't sleep at all. You might have issues also in a way where you either sleep very lightly, that like something that it's like not such a loud noise and it's just gonna wake you up immediately, like somebody snores or the dog barks outside and you get awakened immediately, or you have trouble falling into sleep. It takes you more than like 1 hour to fall into sleeping, or you get up like hour before your alarm even goes off and you can't fall into sleep again, or you tend to wake yourself up several times during the night and then you fall into sleep again. These are all issues with sleeping with which I'm gonna give you like this tool how you can deal with all of these and make them like go away. Because I'm gonna tell you, I had a time in my life where I had issues with sleeping as well. At one point in my life I encountered all of these things that I told you right now, the issues with sleeping, and I tried a couple things. I never tried meds. And I discourage you from using meds for this issue, because it's just gonna have this effect where like one night you're not gonna sleep at all, then you're gonna take the meds, one pill like of some med which you think is gonna help you, then it does help you, so the next night you will gonna sleep like 8 hours, then you're gonna be like, oh, that's so cool, and you keep using these meds, and the next night you sleep 8 hours, then you sleep another 8 hours, and then after a while you get used to it. And what actually will happen to you if you take these meds is that it's gonna drop, and after some time you will notice that you again are not sleeping, and you're sleeping like 4 hours now when you are on this one pill, and so you will think for yourself, oh, I'm not sleeping again, and I have to like take a bigger dosage, and then you take 2 pills and you get to 8 hours, and then it works for some time and it drops again, and this is how you became addicted to using meds for sleeping. This is not very successful strategy. I personally was not using meds. I was actually going toward it more naturally, and I was actually drinking tea from Melissa, and it calmed me down. I have to say it did that. But also what happened was that it had the same effect as meds. It was working like good, more or less, from the beginning, but then I noticed that I'm still drinking this tea, but it's just not working anymore. It just drops the same way the meds drops. And so I was like, oh, I'm never gonna cure these problems with sleeping again. And so what actually happened to me, and this was amazing experience, is that I went to this lecture. It was lecture about how you can manage stress, and actually when I was at this lecture, the person who was giving the lecture, he actually took us like through this process. It's called autogenic training. Maybe you've already heard about it. I also heard about it when I went to this lecture, but I never like cared for it. I never found any details about it. I just knew that it exists, but I didn't know like any specifics to it. And so on this lecture, this man, he walks us through this process. We were actually performing it at the lecture We were sitting at our seats, and he was like telling us the whole process, and we were doing it as we were sitting down to kind of relax and calm ourselves down. And what actually happened to me is that this lecture was in the afternoon, and then I came home, and this was actually at the time where I had issues with sleeping. And when actually I did this, or I was participated in this lecture, this was the first night where I actually slept really hard. I didn't have any issues falling into sleep. I slept until my alarm woke me up, so I didn't wake up before the alarm. And also, I wasn't waking myself up during the night over and over and over again. And so that was very interesting for me. And this was actually the reason why I started practicing autogenic training on myself, because it happened to me once and it worked, and I was so amazed that I actually had the biggest drive I can possibly ever have for anything, because I already saw that it's working, and so I started doing it by myself. Because the issue is that if I read about it only somewhere, I would think like, oh, this is great, but it's just another relaxing technique, it's not gonna work. But since I was like it was performed at this lecture, and I did that, and it worked, then it was this motivation for me to even start with this. And so what is autogenic training? Basically, I'm gonna give you this thing. I'm gonna tell you how it works. You can do it anytime during the day. I personally do it right before I go to sleep, because I'm using it for sleeping issues. You can use it for other issues as well, but I personally used it for sleeping issues, and it worked miracles. And so what I do is that you can do this in your bed, but didn't work for me. I was just lazy doing it in my bed, and so I put a mat, my yoga mat, on the ground next to my bed, and I laid on the ground, and it processed this autogenic training, and then I just rolled into my bed and I slept like a baby during the entire night. And so how I am personally doing it, because you have several descriptions of this on the internet, you can find the one that you're gonna like the best. Basically what I'm doing is that this whole process has 6 steps in total, which it would be great if you do all of them. Then I'm gonna get into the part where I will tell you that if you want to cut something out and what happens and stuff like that. But basically, if you start doing it, you want to go through all of these 6 steps. So the first step is that you're gonna relax. You're basically laying on the ground or in your bed or anywhere, or you can be even sitting, but since you're using it for sleeping, I would already lay down. So you're laying on your back on the ground, and you will focus on relaxing first I do it like this, you can do it like you want, but first I relax my right arm, then my left arm, then my right leg, then my left leg, then my torso. And so I relax my right arm in a way that I tell myself in my mind, I have closed eyes, I'm laying on the ground, and I tell myself, my right arm is very heavy, and I focus on a feeling of heaviness. And so my right arm, it basically relaxes completely. You can focus on feeling of lightness, whatever it works for you, how you can relax your arm. Basically, the focusing on heaviness works miracles for me, and it's really fast for me. So I just focus on telling myself my right arm is so heavy. Then my left arm is so heavy. I tell myself this, and I focus on relaxing my left arm. Then I move to my right leg, my left leg, and my torso. I also edit, this is what I personally edit myself to this. I also focused on, I don't know if this is in any specification, maybe they advised to you this as well somewhere. I just didn't read about it, but I personally relax my face, because I noticed that my facial muscles are sometimes very tense, and so I relax the muscles on my face as well. The second step is focusing on feeling of warmth in your body. So you do it in the same way how you did the first thing. First the right arm, then left arm, then right leg, then left leg, then your torso. And you focus on, you're going to be telling yourself, my right arm is so warm. And you can imagine this in any way you want. I imagine that my right arm is on fire, or you can imagine that you are in a warm bath. you're taking a warm bath, or you are laying in the sun and you feel really warm, and you will imagine it, like I said, right arm, right leg, left leg, torso. That's the second step. The third step is that you're gonna focus on your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out really calmly, and you will calm down your breathing. Couple times, just regular breathing. Fourth step is that you will focus on your pulse. You will focus on how your heart beats, because at this point you're going to be so relaxed since you did all the relaxations of your muscles and your breath. So you are so relaxed that now you can actually feel your heart beating. If you are experienced with relaxation techniques, you will maybe also be able to feel your pulse. I felt the pulse on my neck, but only after I did it for several times. From the beginning, don't get discouraged if you don't feel your heart beating or your pulse, you don't feel it. It's not because it's not beating or it's not pulsing, it's because you didn't develop this sensitivity. So don't get discouraged by it. Just tell yourself, my heart is beating regularly, my pulse is regular, I feel calm, and move on to the next step. So that was the fourth step. The fifth step is that you will again focus on the feeling of warmth in your belly. You can imagine that you drank some really warm tea and now you have really warm belly. That's really important. Focus on warmth in your belly. And the sixth step is actually going to be that you're going to focus on feeling of coldness on your forehead. You can imagine like a cold breeze like going on your forehead. I personally imagine that I take like a frozen veggies from my freezer and I put it on my head, because I remember how I put it on my face when I had my wisdom tooth pulled out. And so I imagine always this, like something really cold on my forehead. And when you do all these 6 steps, that's the time where you completely relax. And that's the time, if I lay on the ground on my mat, I just roll over to my bed and I just go to sleep. I do this autogenic training on the ground where my lights are already shut down. My alarm is like set on my table or somewhere, and I just know that I'm just gonna go through this autogenic training on the ground. And when I finish with the 6th step, I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to turn off the lights. I don't have to turn on the alarm for the next morning. I just roll over to the bed and I just sleep, and it's amazing. You can do this relaxation already in your bed. So for me, laying in my bed, it wasn't working as well, because I just felt like I would skip it and I would straight start to sleeping, but it just wasn't working. And I just noticed that it works much better for me if I just go on the mat, and then I feel like I'm really exercising and I really focus on really carrying out all the steps and all the process and really relaxing myself, and then I feel like I'm ready to go to sleep. So you probably gonna feel like this is not gonna work for you or something like that. I totally understand it. This is how I would feel. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. Please try this just once. Just once try this. It doesn't take such a long time. And if you just try this, you're gonna see the amazing miracles, and you're gonna just sleep at night, and it's gonna be all worth it. And after you get this one night of really deep and amazing sleep, that's when you'll be really pumped for this strategy, and you're just gonna start using it really wholeheartedly, I would say. And so just give it a chance, just once, and see how it's gonna work on this night where you're gonna sleep. And another thing which happened to me after a while I was practicing this was that what happened to me was that I got a little bit lazy, and I actually was omitting some of the steps, or I only relaxed my muscles, and then I felt like, okay, I'm done, but it didn't work as well. So when I got myself that I'm starting to slack off, I just gently pulled myself back and I started doing it all the steps again, because when you start omitting some of the steps, it's just gonna maybe have some negative effects on you. So I would really try to do all the 6 steps If you experiment with it, and you will notice that you don't need some of the steps, you can like omit them. But especially what I would say from my personal experience, I would say that the focusing on the muscle relaxation and the feeling of warmth, these are really important, and I wouldn't skip those. And but that's for me, it's my personal thing, it's for me, it can work differently on yourself. And the last thing I would like to say is that maybe now you're gonna tell me, oh, I don't get used to meds, but I will get used to doing this, and I will be dependent on this strategy, and it's not a solution. To this thing, I would tell you, don't look at this as some kind of thing that you're going to be dependent on. Look at this as a tool that's going to help you how to learn to know your body, to know the feelings in your body, to control the emotions and feelings, like feelings of heaviness, relaxation, warmth, and so on. Because by using this tool, you will actually become a master in controlling what is going on in your body and getting yourself to sleep by yourself. In my opinion, it's much better to use this tool, this natural tool, that's going to have no side effects on you, than using meds, which in the long run, if you're going to look at it from the long run, as I described to you, this thing that's going to happen to you if you take meds for sleeping, that first it works, then it stops working, then you upgrade your dosage, then it stops working. It's just a vicious circle. I'm not saying if you had some traumatic event and you need to go to sleep, and you know that otherwise you sleep well, but now you just need to go to sleep, and you know that you're going to be using these meds temporarily, like, go ahead and do that. But I would advise to you, if you're using meds, do also the autogenic training. You can do both. Just start to learn it, so that you know that when you stop taking meds, you will have this natural technique you can go to. And so that's my advice. I don't see autogenic training as something that I'm dependent on, because now I actually feel, in general, since I worked on myself with my meditations and other things, I generally calm myself down a lot, like in general also during the day. And so I would look at these things as tools that can help you to learn more control over yourself and actually not being dependent on outside things. And that's everything for me. If you have any questions for me whatsoever, please ask me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a like or share it with your friends, or you can subscribe to my channel. And that's everything for me. I wish you have a nice now, and I wish you really have a really deep sleep. It's really important, because in sleep all your body it's just the regeneration of your body, and it's just really amazing thing. So I wish you sleep well, have a nice dreams, and I will see you next time with my next video. Bye.